Mike Dirnt is the bass player from Green Day. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 things that make Green Day's bass really great, so we can learn from the best and improve our own bass lines. A double stop is the technique of playing 2 notes on adjacent strings on a stringed instrument. We can hear this technique being used in Longview. So, what is going on here? The chord that this is implying is D major. In the key of A, this is the 4th chord. The open D string is the root, and this rings out while the note changes on the G string. This creates a rich harmonic texture. The first note is E. In relation to the D major chord, this is the 2nd or 9th. And this causes some tension against the open D string. It then moves down to the D, which is the root, which creates a satisfying resolution. It then goes down to C sharp, which is the 7th, briefly causing a more intense dissonance before resolving back to the D. This is a great example of what makes music great. Moments of dissonance followed by resolution. I also think this is a great metaphor for life in general. To get that Mike Dirnt sound, you need an aggressive attack coupled with the right gear. Although he has been seen playing many basses, he is most known for his vintage 59P bass with split single coil pickups. On the older material, he used the more common type of P bass that you'll see. Either will work just fine. As for amps, he has played many, such as the Fender Super Bass, but I believe he currently plays a Fender Bassman 300 Pro. I think the main thing that gives him that signature sound is the way he attacks the strings. I recently watched a clip of Adam Nolly Get Good. He was talking about how he uses a really thin pick to get through the string as aggressively as possible. I think Mike Dirnt does it the same way. Maybe not quite as thin, but they're definitely not the thick picks that some players use. So to get this sound, you want to hit through the string and play as many downstrokes as possible. Only play upstrokes when the music becomes too fast for only downstrokes. We see walking bass lines used in blues and jazz all the time, but it is definitely not limited to just these genres. You can see it here being used in Longview, and here again in Knowledge. A walking bass line is made up of 4 crotchets, evenly spaced across the bar. The pitches will mostly consist of chord tones with some passing notes or chromatic notes. Jazz walking bass lines are more likely to not repeat and evolve as the song progresses. Blues often contains repeated patterns. If we analyse the first 2 chords of Longview, we have an E major chord and a D major chord. Over the E major chord, he plays an E, a B, an A, and a G sharp. This is the root, 5th, 4th, and 3rd of the chord. So we have 3 chord tones and the 4th. The 4th is a passing note. Over the D major chord, he plays a D, an A, a G sharp, and then back to the D. These are the root, the 5th, and the sharp 4. Side note, the presence of a sharp 4 tells us that the D is the 4 chord, which makes the E major chord the 5 chord. This could be analysed using notes from the Lydian mode. For further information on modes, check out my video on modes. Major chords are made up of 3 notes from the major scale. For example, the C major scale contains the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. If you take the 1st, the 3rd, and the 5th, you have a major chord. The go-to note for bass players is the root, but we can use the other 2 notes to add interest to the bass line. I've noticed that Mike Dirnt likes to use the 3rd a lot. Here is an example from the track Minority. He plays the roots, then goes to the 3rd, and then back to the root of the C major chord. He then does a similar thing on the G chord, root, 3rd, root. On the bass, you can find the 3rd on the next string and then back 1 fret. Be careful though, if you are playing over a minor chord, you will need to go back 2 frets, as that chord contains a flat 3rd. So, if you are playing over a major chord, you can find the 3rd here. If you are playing over a minor chord, you can find the 3rd here. Hybrid picking has been popular with guitarists for a long time, but recently it seems to be quite fashionable for bass players as well. This is probably due to bands like Polyphia, but if we go back to the early days of Green Day, 1990, we can see here that Mike Dirnt is way ahead of the game, as he was using it on the song Knowledge. To use the technique, you play the strings with a pick as usual, but you'd use your second finger to pop the strings, so pull away from the fretboard and let it bounce back and hit the fretboard, like you would if you were playing slap bass. Can you think of any other reasons that I've missed? If so, leave me a comment in the comment section, and consider subscribing or check out one of these videos.